This is the Two Scrappy Chicks podcast, where life is messy, the stories are real, and we dare to talk about it anyway. Hi, everyone. I am so glad that you decided to join me here again today, because I've been really excited to put this episode together, because I wanted to get into this Wicker phenomena. Have you heard about this Wicker movie? You know, the one that hasn't even come out yet, and everybody is losing their minds. Apparently, the film has been adapted from the short story The Wicker Husband. This is by Ursula Wills Jones. The screenplay was co-written and directed by Alex Houston Fisher and Eleanor Wilson. Okay, so Wicker follows an ostracized fisherwoman living on the outskirts of a seaside village. Ridiculed for being unmarried and unconventional, she commissions the local basket maker to create a husband from wicker. The wicker creation proves to be unexpectedly extraordinary, sparking a lot of jealousy, upheaval, and chaos in the otherwise conservative village. Okay, so the two main characters are Olivia Colman as the fisherwoman and Alexander Skarsgård as the wicker husband. Okay, so first of all, absolutely love Olivia Colman. She won the Academy Award for Best Actress for her portrayal of Queen Anne in The Favorite, which was released in 2018. Highly recommend that movie. Fantastic. And she was in a season of The Bear. Also love The Bear. Saw all seasons of that. She's in Wicked Little Letters and most recently The Roses. Thoroughly enjoy watching her. Her acting prowess is, in my opinion, what makes movies magical. And now Alexander Skarsgård. Who knew? I am so looking forward to seeing this movie. And yes, I know I will have to get in a very long line to see it, but I really do believe it's going to be freaking amazing. Okay, so what is all this about anyway? Okay, because as I said, Wicker hasn't even hit theaters yet, and already men and women are having really strong reactions to the Wicker husband. Again, played by Alexander Skarsgård. And again, they've only watched the US and UK trailers, but I guess, from what I gather, is that the UK trailer is really a point of contention here due to a certain part of a man's, how shall we say, anatomy. Okay, so we're going to be talking about desire, emotional safety, loyalty, masculinity, and vulnerability, and what it is about a man, and yes, in this case, a wicker man, who is completely devoted to his wife that makes this topic seemingly and steamily so extraordinary. Because just the other day, I watched an interview on YouTube with the Wicker cast, and I have to tell you, it was quite illuminating. And, I had to watch for research purposes. I will be sure to put the link in my show notes so that you can do, your own little bit of research. So let's break this down a bit. Okay, yes, Wicker Man is tall, and he has a perfectly sculpted, overall physically appealing body, and yes, parts. But I think really that it's his emotional connectedness and support for his wife that really makes the character and the story so appealing. Alexander Skarsgård himself said that he was intimidated by the role because the wicker husband had a kind of purity he wasn't accustomed to playing. He described a man without the darkness, internal conflict, or psychological friction he usually looks for in a character. And that right there stopped me. Mr. Skarsgård may have unintentionally just given us a little peek behind the curtain. And I, for one, am very curious about what we're going to find there, because his character's defining quality isn't that he's big and powerful or even that he's complicated. And perhaps that's the conversation that's hiding underneath all the excitement about Wicker. Maybe we're not just talking about the perfect man's body and his parts. Maybe we're talking about what happens when a man doesn't need to prove himself through physical dominance, conflict, emotional distance, or control. And maybe what we're looking at is a man who is completely comfortable loving, desiring, protecting, and being emotionally present with his partner. And perhaps that's why women are reacting to this so positively and so strongly. Wicker Man just simply loves his wife. Simply happy to be with her. Seems like he just really enjoys and wants to be with her and support her. He's completely devoted to her. And apparently this is such an unusual character that even the actor playing him found it difficult to know how to approach him. I think men's strong reaction may be caused by Wicker's body parts in particular, because this perspective completely reverses the traditional direction of sexual objectification in movies. While some may find it deeply uncomfortable, some women, many women, find extremely appealing, I think, because of this reversal. There's a vulnerability to male sexual objectification that men are just not used to having to deal with. The Wicker husband's exaggerated anatomy is, well, impossible to ignore, especially with how happy and pleased his wife is with him. It puts male sexuality front and center. And suddenly, the male viewer isn't simply looking at a physically attractive man, albeit even a perfect specimen of a man, even though he's made entirely of wicker. He may be thinking, okay, how do I measure up, figuratively and literally? Because male sexuality is heavily associated with performance. It's about men not feeling comfortable with being compared by size, endurance, ability to satisfy, and their desirability, their masculinity. So when the movie essentially creates a man with these exaggerated features and parts, it can be probably activating to, I don't know how to put this, I'm trying to put this very kindly, ingrained male anxiety about this particular area for them. Can they be enough? Are they enough? Are they desirable? This connects directly to their masculinity because research on male body image and their self-perception has consistently found that men can experience significant anxiety about their size and adequacy. A review of research on male self-image found that concerns about size and appearance can and do negatively affect a man's psychological well-being, his sexual confidence, and functioning. So, let's imagine a fictional man who was essentially constructed to be physically and sexually perfect. And seeing women's overtly positive, excited, gleeful even reaction to this character, it's got to be unnerving for men. Because Wicker Man isn't just attractive. He's also very physically intimidating. Some men may come to the conclusion, okay, if this is really what women want, where does that leave the ordinary guy? And that is a really interesting question and reaction, isn't it? Because it reverses who gets to have the sexual fantasy here. Because historically, men's fantasies have frequently been represented visually. I mean, aren't we told that men are visual creatures? That's just who they are. That's just how they're wired. And that a beautiful woman exists solely to be desired. Well, Wicker essentially says, what if we made the man specifically for female attraction and desire? And suddenly the male body becomes the product. He's essentially made to order. And this is such a fascinating reversal, isn't it? I mean, the woman isn't being selected because she satisfies a man's fantasy. She's the consumer here, and he is the fantasy product. That alone could explain some of the discomfort some men may be feeling and are becoming very vocal about. There's something inherently funny, and I don't mean ha-ha funny, I mean like coincidentally funny, and threatening about male sexual competition. The Wicker husband's exaggerated anatomy creates an impossible comparison because now the other men aren't competing against another personality. They're competing against a literal fantasy object. And you can't compete with something that was manufactured specifically to exceed you. And that produces a very interesting question. What happens to male confidence when the standard becomes impossible? Well, we've spent decades telling women that they are supposed to compete with other women in every way, shape, or form. Airbrush models, actresses, adult movie performers, digitally altered bodies. So essentially, yes, impossible beauty standards. Now, imagine men experiencing their own version of, why doesn't your body look like that? That's pretty uncomfortable. It's a very unnerving reversal because now the male gaze becomes the female gaze. This might be one of the most provocative things we could discuss because the male gaze historically positions women as the object being looked at. The Wicker husband turns this completely on its head because the Wicker husband is the object of female desire. Apparently, every female in that little community. And the women get to look, evaluate, enjoy looking, and fantasizing about Wicker man's body. This is where a woman gets what she wants, her needs, her wants, her desires. And the Wicker husband, at least in the trailers, doesn't seem to be embarrassed by being desired. This is a very different representation of male sexuality. And there's another layer to this. He doesn't even appear to be ashamed in the least of his sexuality. This may be even more important than his physical size. He doesn't seem apologetic or embarrassed. He doesn't appear to be trying to hide his desire for his wife. He seems like he's pretty sexually available, and conversely, she knows in no uncertain terms that he wants her. For many people, being desired by their partner is a significant component of sexual and relational satisfaction. And in the Wicker fantasy, there is virtually zero ambiguity. She doesn't ever have to wonder, does he want me? Does he find me attractive? Is he comparing me to someone else? His desire for her is unmistakable, and that can be enormously powerful and alluring. Men have historically complained about being reduced to provider, protector, paycheck. And women have historically complained about being reduced to beauty, sex, reproduction. The Wicker husband flips the script here too. I mean, what if men become body, sex, emotional service? Let's think about that for a minute. Because the Wicker husband seems to represent many things simultaneously. Physical, emotional, safety, sexual desire, loyalty, protection, responsiveness, devotion. I mean, who doesn't want certainty from their partner? Who doesn't want to know that they're wanted, that their partner is proud of them, and that they are completely comfortable letting you know it? That's a powerful fantasy and an even more powerful reality. Guys, here's a question for you. If the Wicker husband's body makes you uncomfortable, what is it exactly that makes you feel that way? Is it really just about comparison, the idea that women are openly evaluating male bodies? The fact that this particular man, this Wicker man, has been designed explicitly for female wants and pleasure? Or the possibility that your partner might prefer what he represents in terms of emotional availability and connectedness? Someone that she can unquestionably rely on. Ladies, and this question is for you. If you could design the perfect man and the perfect man's body, what do you think you would choose? Would you choose that he be physically gifted in all areas? Would he need to be tall, muscular, with washboard abs? Would you want him to be attentive, affectionate, emotionally connected, and make you feel safe? Actually make you feel protected? I think for women, the fantasy goes far above and beyond the Wicker husband's body, because women seem to want a man whose desire for her also comes with emotional connectedness, devotion, safety, loyalty, tenderness, and certainty. Maybe the Wicker husband isn't the fantasy because he's physically perfect. Maybe he's the fantasy because there is no uncertainty attached to him. His body says, I want you. His behavior says, I love you. And his presence says, I've got you. And for a woman, those things exist together. Existing together may be a far more powerful attribute than any other physical attribute alone. I have a feeling there are going to be some very full theaters on October 23rd when Wicker is released. And I suspect a whole lot of those seats are going to be filled by women. And I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes one of those movies women buy, stream, rewatch, and talk about long, long after they've watched it. And to the men, I would like to genuinely encourage you to go see Wicker too. Go with your wife, go with your girlfriend, and maybe, just maybe, do a little self-reflection while you're sitting there. Don't be bitter, be open. Ask yourself what it is about the Wicker husband what he's doing that makes women react so positively, so strongly. And then ask yourself, hey, could I do some more of that? Is there anything within myself that I could do better, do more of for my partner? Because a little self reflection is not only good for the soul, guys, it's probably also really good for the body too, don't you think? And that's all I have today for this episode. If this episode made you think, made you laugh, maybe even made you a little irritated, or made you look at your relationship a little bit differently, then don't keep it to yourself. Like, subscribe, follow, share. Follow us wherever you listen and stream, and send this episode to the woman who needs to hear it, and maybe the man who needs to hear it even more. Until next time, ladies, stay curious, stay bold, and stay sovereign. And go see Wicker on October 23rd. You know I'll be there, and I will definitely have something to say about it.
We really appreciate you hanging out with the two scrappy chicks today. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, download, and share it with a friend. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, just let us know.